Hi, back again, and this is a review about another book that I was sent digitally by Netgalley to review. It's Tales of the Lost Horizon by Michael Eging. He's a fantasy author, and he's somebody I've never read before because fantasy is not my normal genre. But this is a collection of short stories, and it was quite appealing to try and find something new. Now, as with any collections, you always find some stories you prefer more than others, and it was true of this one. There were a couple that I really liked. The rest were okay, but there were a couple that really stood out for me. There's not only in this book. There's not only stories, short stories, there's poetry and artwork. I don't know whether it's just my Kindle, but whenever I get a book on Kindle that's got images on, I'm always so disappointed because you can never get the fine detail, never see the fine detail on Kindles. So, I can't really comment on the pictures because the Kindle just doesn't give me a good representation of them. The poetry, again, some you like, some you love, some you really like, some they're okay. There are a couple of poems that stood out for me. One was, let me just pull up the index, and so I'm telling you the right title. Anthony, He Goes Not Alone, which is almost a retelling of the death of Mark Antony and Cleopatra, which was a really interesting poem to read. And the second one that I really liked was called Splendour. And that was, it's a very short poem, but it was so vivid, beautifully vivid. So those were the two that stuck out for me. As regards the short stories, there was, let me find it, What's in a Name. Now that was very Hobbit-esque, Lord of the Rings. It was a story of elves on a quest for a jewel and finding this dragon, and it was the descriptions. It was a real good fantasy story. It was like a mini epic, so I really did enjoy that one. The other one that I really did like was the Cyborg Heartbreak. Now that was, well, right, as you said, it was heartbreaking. I found that really, really moving. The other stories in the collection, you go from a story of gods and serpents. You go through the fantasy. You almost move to the modern day with a story about Beyond the Grave, which has a surprising ending. You go interstellar with Stardusted. And then the final one, it almost is, well, I wonder whether the author actually started it during the period we're in now, because it talks about a pandemic. So, but hopefully our pandemic is not going to end the same as the pandemic in this story, but we'll see. Anyway, so that was my review of Tales of a Lost Horizon by Michael Eging. Those were the highlights for me. The books that I picked, the stories that I picked out, they're my highlights. But yeah, a really nice selection of stories. And as with all short story collections, you might not agree with the two that I picked out, but it'd be interesting to see which ones were your favourites. So if you've read it, or when you do read it, stick your comments down below and let me see. So, you know the form. If you like it, tick like, subscribe, notifications, then you can find out when I stick other videos on. So until the next time, happy reading, and I'll see you later. Bye.